What are the duties of innkeepers? Generally, one who owns, occupies, or leases property is under a duty to use ordinary care, which is the care that ordinarily careful persons would use to avoid injury to themselves or others under the same or similar circumstances. There is no duty to guarantee the safety of those entering upon the property. You should consider all the surrounding circumstances in deciding whether the defendant use such care. A duty of care on behalf of the premises owner to protect plaintiff against criminal acts of third parties arises only if plaintiff can show that the premises owner knew or had reason to know, either from what has been or should have been observed from past experience, that criminal acts against the customers on his premises was reasonably foreseeable. If the injury that occurred could not have been reasonably foreseen, a duty of care does not arise even if the act of the defendant was also a cause of the injury of the injury. A plaintiff must show that the injury was a reasonably foreseeable probability, not just a remote possibility, and that the same action within the defendant's power was more probable than not would have prevented the injury. The general rule of law governing the liability of an innkeeper is that he is not an insurer of the person of his guest against injury. The measure of liability of the hotel to invitees is due care under all the circumstances, including the nature and use of the hotel, the nature of the invitation, the nature of the relationship with the invitee, the opportunity of the possessor and the invitee to know and avoid existing or probable dangers, and any and all other factors which would challenge the attention of the possessor and or invitee to the probability of dangers of the invitees and produce the precautions which a reasonably prudent person would instigate under the same or similar circumstances. The duty placed on innkeepers to protect against registered guests from misconduct of third persons is a duty of care under all the circumstances. The reasonable person standard is then the standard that applies to innkeepers in the protection of their guests. You must also consider whether the hotel was reasonable in the manner in which they dealt with Mr. Barrett and their conduct towards the plaintiff, Miss Andrews.